Hello everyone, my name is Alex and I go to a regular high school in a small town. In our school, everything is usually dull and nothing ever happens. But what happened when the new principal came is just wild, and it's definitely worth your attention. I myself was a participant in those events and I remember everything as if it were yesterday. So let's get back 1 year. It was September 1st. The new school year began, and we were surprised to learn that our principal, Mr. Skyner, had retired. And instead of him, a new principal was appointed. He was young and very handsome. All the girls immediately went crazy over him, daydreaming about that handsome man. But he was unapproachable and looked at everyone with great interest. The year began as usual. Classes, teachers, homework, well, in a word, boring. But the new principal was very strange. Always had red eyes and was often on his phone, sometimes even during class time. He would give assignments to students and then go on his phone as if he was playing some game. He became the most mysterious figure at our school and everyone really wanted to look into his phone and find out what he was doing. But he never let anyone go near it and never left it anywhere. Everyone was betting on what was on there. A game, romantic texts, a secret conspiracy. People even began to take bets with real money, which would go to whoever could get onto his phone. After some time, all other teachers began to be on their phones more. They simply did not pay attention to us. All our classes and learning came down to independent student work. I didn't understand anything. Maybe there was a secret conspiracy among the teachers and they were up to something. We did enjoy that class format. No one annoyed us with homework. We could sit quietly and do whatever we wanted, and we did have things to do. My friends and I were constantly playing Among Us, and looking for imposters was cooler than learning algebra. So a month had passed that way, and then everything changed. One day, it felt like all the teachers somehow had their internet turned off. They stopped being on their phones, but now they were acting weird. They were constantly on the lookout and walked around the school in groups and always turned around. Something wild was going on. One day, the chemistry classroom caught fire. It didn't seem surprising. Something always happened there because not all the students learn chemistry, and then there are accidents because of that. But that day, there were no classes in there. Only a chemistry teacher was present. There was a lot of smoke and he was taken to the hospital. The next day, someone poured a bucket of red paint on the geography teacher during a break. She screamed for a long time, thinking it was blood. The spectacle was wild, but fun at the same time. We all waited for the drama to begin and for them to look for the trickster, but there was a complete silence. Everyone at the school discussed this, but no one knew who did it. And then, during a literature class, the teacher slammed the door so hard all the portraits of the writers fell from the wall at the same time. She jumped abruptly and then burst into tears and ran away from class. She always slammed the door very loudly and it infuriated everyone, but kind of stuff never happened. We began to think that it was a secret avenger had appeared in the school who was jamming the teachers. So we began to think who it could be, and everyone's goal was now to find him. Being at school had turned into a spy quest. Everyone watched each other. Most importantly, none of the students was called up to the principal, and even the most notorious hooligans said that it was not their work. Everything became much more interesting. We waited for something else to happen, and then during a biology class, a skeleton walked. It really just started moving and dancing. It was so cool. The teacher, however, felt bad and she was taken to the hospital. But for some reason, the physics teacher walked around all proud and pleased with himself after that. And at the same time, I was having a crazy war in Among Us. Recently, a new player had appeared in the game. He was most often played as an imposter and was a really cool player. It was so hard to catch him. He staged crazy sabotages and killed all crew members. Everyone's goal was to catch him, but he was so good and often the victory went to the imposters. But when he played as a crew member, he so easily recognized the imposters. I was very interested to know who this player was. One day, it was announced that a teachers' meeting would start after the classes. To be honest, lately, they've been getting together more often. As soon as something happened, they were meeting. As I was thinking about it, I saw a physics teacher being brought in on a stretcher. I don't know what happened, but the number of teachers who have been on sick leave is going high. I walked to my class and saw how the history teacher was calming our math teacher. She sobbed and said this could no longer continue. It was necessary to change something. He stroked her head, and she kept insisting that everything was under attack and it was time to end it. It was strange to me, and I decided that it was time to act. So in the evening, I decided to attend the teacher's meeting. After class, I hid in the closet in the conference room and waited. What I learned was more than just a game. It was incredible. During the meeting, the principal began to call everyone not by names, but by nicknames. And I heard already these nicknames, or rather, saw them before. I saw them recently in Among Us, actually. And yes, that cool player was our principal. It was just incredible. That's what happened at school. How did I not immediately understand? This was a battle between the crew and the imposters. And they got together to vote to decide who was going to be who. And it also turns out that the team that wins would receive an award from the principal, and therefore, everyone was interested in the game. He praised everyone for the cool game and said that imposters were starting to act more decisively, but could be even bolder. The math teacher sobbed hearing this, but the principal told her that if she didn't want to participate, she could quit the job. But she couldn't. Her husband died, and she had 2 children, so she shook her head sharply and fell silent. Voting began. I was very interested in what would happen next, but suddenly I sneezed. That was the end. They knew where I was. However, the principal only laughed and sent me home, said that everything was fine. This was all an experiment of the ministry, and it was better not to tell anyone about it. I left in shock. I really wanted to tell someone, but I didn't know if it was worth it, or do I figure everything out first? What do you think? What would you do? The next morning, we had a PE class. The teacher said that today we would climb the rope, and I was the first to go. It was quite easy. I climbed onto the rope and climbed to the top, getting to the ceiling. I suddenly heard a pop and fell down. It was complete darkness. I don't remember anything else. I woke up in the hospital. My mother was next to me. She said that I had severe injuries, but now everything was over. What's over? I asked. Everything, my mother answered, and began to tell me that was happening at school. The whole city was already buzzing about it. It was strange that so many teachers ended up in the hospital. But when people went to check the school, our principal did everything so that it seemed like a coincidence. He had an impeccable reputation and very good reviews from his previous job, and therefore they believed him. Everything changed the morning I fell. That day, all the teachers went to the Ministry of Education, and the math teacher went to the previous school where the principal had worked. The police got involved, and turned out that he was a gambling addict. He was obsessed with the game Among Us. But the virtual space wasn't enough. He wanted real victims and sensations. Turns out that he did the same things at his last work until one of the teachers was severely injured. A principal decided to fire him, but he blackmailed him into giving him good recommendations, and so he ended up at our school. And here, he forced everyone to participate in this, and even forged documents from the ministry. Some agreed because they believed the documents. Some wanted the prizes. Others were simply afraid, but everyone participated. While everything was happening only among the teachers, everyone tolerated it. But when a student was hurt, the teachers decided that the principal had gone mad and that they should protect the students. Everything became clear. The principal was fired, and he's under investigation now. It is possible that they will send him for treatment. I have to say, in the hospital for a while still. But I'm very glad that I was able to participate in a real-life game. And let me tell you, it's way cooler than the virtual ones. Or wait, just don't think that I'm as crazy as our principal. No, I don't want to get hurt and will continue to play online. But it was so cool. Sometimes it feels like whatever is going on is not real, but it happens. If you liked the video, then press the thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe.